Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another edition of Are You In? Now, I'll talk a little bit about just the fact that I haven't been on for a little bit. At the end of the video, I have a couple of things I want to talk about, but I'm trying something again that I tried before, and I think I'm going to try to do honestly for the next couple of videos because I want to be able to condense and make a little bit more of my points a little bit more concise. So this will definitely help me push out better content over a shorter period of time. So, like I had a couple of weeks ago, or maybe last video, I have another 15-minute timer, and I'm going to use that for my chunk of my review. That does not count the ending part. It's just for the actual content itself. So I'm going to try to do this within 15 minutes, and we'll see what happens. So I'm going to start right now. And we're going to be talking today about an album that came out in 2018, not too long ago. One of two jazz albums that I'm going to talk about this week. And this one is Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino by the Arctic Monkeys. Now, if you don't know who the Arctic Monkeys are, they are an indie / garage rock band / post punk band from a suburb in Sheffield, England called High Green. The members include Alex Turner on lead vocals, guitar, baritone guitar, and keyboards, Matt Helders on drums, percussion, backing, and co-lead vocals, Jamie Cook on guitar, baritone guitar, and Nick O'Malley on bass guitar and backing vocals. Now they've had a few albums, including "Whatever People Say I Am," that's what I'm not in 2006, "Favorite Worst Nightmare" in 2007, "Humbug" in 2009, "Second in C" in 2011, and "Am" in 2013. Now this is a weird band for me. I've listened to their whole entire discography once, but I honestly only remember the first album and the second album and "Am." And I remember liking the first two, and was noticeably interested in "Am" for a different sound, where their first couple albums were more on the punk side, and full of energy and full of angst. The "Am" was more of a party rock / garage rock kind of sound, a little bit slower pace. It still had some of that power in it on certain songs, but it was more subdued and it was more of this party theme, and about sex and rock and roll and debauchery and everything like that. I really liked it, though I wasn't as high as some other people were, including Rolling Stone, who I believe put in the top 10 for that year. I think I maybe had it in like around 25. So I heard that a new album was coming out recently and was excited for it. And then I listened to the first single, and I had mixed feelings. It's like, why is there so much piano in this? So took a couple of listens, and this is what I feel about it. You know how there was a lot of piano on Number One Party Anthem from Am? Kind of take that idea and flesh it out a little bit more. This whole entire CD has a lot of piano, and it works in some cases and it doesn't in others. It creates this beautiful sounds. It's a more mature sound than I've heard from them, and it's a lot of jazzy ideas, and there's a lot of really cool ones. One of my favorites is on 1 Point Perspective. So it starts off with just a B flat and a D in the piano, so it kind of sounds like you're playing in key of B flat, and then they add a G on there, so the chord progression changes. So you get a chord progression of G minor, G augmented, F9 over G, E flat 7 over G, A flat major, B diminished 7, G minor 7, C minor 7, A flat major 7, B diminished 7, G minor 7. Um, you know, the cool thing about it is it builds a lot of chords off of that G. So like they'll play the G in the bass, and then they'll keep raising the notes uh, in the right hand side of this chord. Uh, so it's a cool way of changing up everything. But then, as the next part comes around, the bass highlights an E flat. So instead of being in G minor, we are now in E flat major, and that changes some of the chords. Not hugely change, but there's a little bit. So instead of that progression before, you now have an E flat major 7, E flat augmented, F9 over E flat 7, A flat major 7, B diminished 7, G minor 7, C minor 7, A flat major 7, B diminished 7, E flat major 7. It changes a little bit, not hugely, a lot, but it's a cool way of, having expectations and deceiving the expectations. First being in B flat, then being in G minor, then being in E flat. Um, and that's a really cool chord progression that I just like seeing because it's something new that they've never done. And there's a lot of other chord progressions that are just are very jazzy. You get She Looks Like Fun, where it's just a standard 2-5-1 going to a 6, so D minor 7, G7, C major 7, A minor 7 with a flat 9. Very very standard jazz material. Your standard 2 minor going to a 5, going to a 1. Same thing with star treatment. You get a C minor 7, F7, B flat major 7. So you're talking about a 2-5-1 in B flat. Just some interesting stuff all around. I don't want to go too heavy into chords like I usually do. Just it shows that they've changed their dynamic in terms of sound, and gone away are a lot of these rock feel, and it's more of, it feels like Alex Turner just took a piano and started just cranking out material, like a loud singer, and his voice sounds pretty good on this album. There's a lot of crooning on there. There's a lot of falsetto that you don't usually hear from him, and his voice definitely stands out. There's also some really cool meter changes that I've never noticed from this band before. So again, another just altering their style and maturing it a little bit. So, like, say on going back to She Looks Like Fun, the She Looks Like Fun parts in 5/4, and then you get everything else being in 4/4, except for the leading idea back into She Looks Like Fun. It goes back into 5/4. You get something like Science Fiction, where it's metered out in an idea of 10/4 and then 6/4, and it just keeps repeating that idea for a little bit. You get something like the world's first ever monster truck front flip. Weird name for a song, but no matter. Where the verses are 11/8, and then the last part of each verse is in 15/8, and then there are parts that are a song that are back into 4/4. So it makes for this strangely interesting song because of the meter itself. Um, that's the cool thing about this. I will say there's a lot of beautiful instrumentation. There's a lot of beautiful ideas on there, even if it's not as hard as some of the other stuff that they have produced over the time. And it gives a lot of room for Alex Turner's lyrics to come through. Now, it's a little bit out there for a lot of stuff. A lot of the songs are very freeform in terms of the way that he sings his lyrics. There isn't any clear cut da 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 da. He'll start an idea and he'll continue going through it as maybe a little bit over what you think he actually should be doing, which can be good and bad in some points. He seems like he's just spewing ideas over and over again, with no real, context to everything, and it sometimes makes these lyrics a little bit weird and hard to follow because it's full of, you know, ideas and euphemisms and certain ideas that maybe he only understands, or these references that not everyone gets. But all in all, they're all really interesting for the most part. There's a lot of, like I said, out there songs. So most of these songs talk about the current state of our world, of course, and there's songs that talk about the addictions to phones. So that's Bat Phone. She Looks Like Fun is our personas on social media and how we interact. Um, you know, Again, another one that's talking about our addiction to phones is like the world's first ever monster truck front flip. Um, you have a couple of these songs that are based around this idea of of a hotel and casino on the moon, which is Tranquility Base Hotel and Casino and 4 stars out of 5. Both reference that idea, and like at first I didn't like these songs, but then when I found out it has like a little bit of a reference in each other, I kind of liked it. It's a kind of a far out idea, but it's a interesting one. And it's not to say that there isn't any of the past ideas from them. There is a little bit of songs where you have the full band, you have some interesting guitar parts and some interesting drum parts, and interesting bass parts. I would say for the most part, it's 1 Point Perspective has some awesome bass lines, some interesting guitar parts. Uh, I would say 4 out of 5 has a little bit of that feel of Am Arctic Monkeys and now Arctic Monkeys. Um, there's some great drumming on She Looks Like Fun, and for the most part, it's there's a lot of interesting stuff. Like I say, now for me, the biggest thing is it's not going to be for everybody. I know that. Like, if you were expecting something more along with Am, you're not going to get that. It's gone are a lot of the rock ideas. It's more jazz, and that could be off-putting for some, especially because of the way that Alex Turner sings his lyrics. I can understand why that could be off-putting to some. Um, how, However, for me, the biggest thing is at first it's good, and then once you get to the latter half of the album, probably after 4 stars out of 5, it gets a little bit draining to hear the same ideas over and over again. Especially because when he's crooning, his voice is a little bit monotone, so it's kind of hard to just continuously listen to it. And once you get to song 11, you're already like, okay, can you give me something a little bit different? To the point, the rhythmic ideas, the the chord ideas make up for some of this some of the stuff. But for the most part, you know what you're gaining from track one as you keep going. I will say the last song is really nice, even though it's very cheesy. It's the one that honestly feels the uh, acceptable one, I guess. The one that everyone's gonna like. It's my favorite one on the album. It's very heartfelt. It's talking about losing friends over the years and isolation, and it feels like this is the perfect one where you just go to a bar and you start crooning this one. Um, I I think it's funny that it took to the last song to find one that's most fitting, I guess, in terms of structure, in terms of not free form, in terms of chords. Like it's the most accessible one, if you will. So if you want to try something new with Arctic Monkeys, I would say this is an album to go for. If you are a huge Arctic Monkeys fan and you always like their old stuff, you may not like this one. For the most part, it's a good album. It's not a solid album. I wouldn't listen to like the last half of the album. in me personally. But there's some nice ones on there. I like the approach of what they've done. I'm curious. I would have been more curious to see them combine their rock ideas and their jazz ideas into something a little bit more, so that um, you had some more diversity on the album. But it's not a bad CD. It's not going to be one that probably makes my top half of the year, but maybe it'll hit my top 50. But that is my time, and I have 7 seconds to spare. So thank you so much for watching this. Sorry if it's a little bit jumbled. Like I said, I'm trying to do a little bit different, where I'm not spending 20 minutes on an album and just re-saying the same things over and over again. Um, the I do apologize for not putting out an album on album review on Sunday. A couple of things. First off, I've been a little bit under the weather, as you can kind of hear in my voice. Second, I've just been, I don't know, I've been in a weird state. Couple of reasons why I'm not going to be auditioning for The Voice very soon in the next couple of weeks, and it's like my first time to have a week off in a very long time. So maybe that's just a little bit of it. It's like I'm so excited to get there that I'm kind of pushing everything else out of the way, and I don't really want to do anything. But also, I've been listening to albums in 2018, and I haven't really been, there's not been a lot of CDs that I've been wanting to talk about, because some of them are pretty mediocre, and for me to spend time on them, it doesn't seem right. It would just be like, oh, this is mediocre. This isn't as good as some other stuff. Um, so I might do something where I'm doing like a couple of albums in a video, so that way you can have, quantity on that side, even if the quality of the album views aren't great. At least I can talk about 3 or 4 albums at a time that are kind of similar. Um, and the other thing is, I'm just like, with the stuff from 2017, I'm basically almost done with that, and I'm trying to figure out if I want to talk about some of these. So it's kind of hard to just get yourself going on some of them that you don't want to write. Uh, so that's a little bit for me another reason why I'm kind of like iffy on some of this stuff. So I might change up a little bit of stuff over the next couple of weeks. You'll still, of course, get a cover song on Friday. You'll get another album review on Sunday, one that I actually wanted to talk about. Um, but I may start doing, at least for a little bit, I may start doing just 2 videos a week, only because it's hard to write one of these sometimes with the time that I have, let alone 2. And I don't want to be rushing and putting out bad product, and I don't want to be over stressing myself, uh, especially if I don't have the stuff that I want. Now, eventually, if I do go to 2, eventually, yes, I'll go back to 3, because I know that I'll have albums to talk about in 2018, and I will have the discography ones to talk about. Like, even if I don't find one for 2018 that I really want to talk about, I'll definitely do at least 2, discography reviews in a week. But we'll see what happens. I do have one prepared for Sunday, and then we'll see what happens. I have a couple of ones I want to do with some friends, but that's it for now. I would say by the end of June, I'll start doing the dissecting the discographies reviews, and I'm super excited for that. So just keep out there for keep doing what you do. Like the video, comment, share with your friends, subscribe. Just keep watching the videos that I make. And, sorry I'm a little bit under the weather for this one. I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you tomorrow for a cover song. Peace.